Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, we will start the session. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي رب زدني علما. Ameen. So before we start, just a quick introduction about what ACC is and for our speaker today, inshallah. So Jazakumullahu khairan kathira for taking your time to joining this session today. Afiyah Counsel and Care is a mental health service established in 2015, catering to Muslim community across the globe. Here, you will find caring counselors to help you with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and other issues. Our dedicated coaches will guide you through important personal and professional decisions as you embark on the journey of life. When you collaborate with ACC, you choose holistic healing through a blend of Islamic teachings and psychological tools. Now, just a quick introduction about our speaker for today, Sister Wafa. Sister Wafa is a educational counselor at Afiyah Counsel and Care and has been born and brought up in Saudi Arabia. She has completed her bachelor's degree in education with a major in guidance and counseling and minor in instructional technology from IRUM Malaysia. She is currently working at RIMS International School in India as a school counselor. With that, I would like to hand over the session to Sister Wafa. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Wafa. Can you hear us?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everyone, I'm Wafa and this is my first session on behalf of Afiyah Counsel and Care. And I'm really excited to spend the next hour with all of you. So this is going to be more of an informative session and all questions and feedbacks are welcome from all of you. So I hope you all learned through this session a lot and you are able to apply whatever you have learned in your daily life as well. So let us begin. Bismillah. Now, parenting, as we all know, is one of the most challenging tasks that exists. And childhood, it's one of the best times of life. And we as parents or as educators, we play a huge role in making this. We play a huge role in making this childhood of theirs the best time of their life. So as a parent, it is very normal for us to focus a lot on challenges. But we do keep in mind the fantastic pleasures, the enormous fulfillment, and the great gift it is to have a baby and watch it grow and develop. And I don't think there's anything more pleasureful in life. And as parents, it's important for us to know how we can help our children to grow in the best way. How can we be responsible parents? How can we let our children have the best childhood they deserve to have? And to help you all on this journey of parenting, I would like to share with all of you a little bit about the psychological aspects of a child, about their developmental stages and psychosocial development. And all of this can help you all be better, responsible parents. So development is the pattern of biological, cognitive, and socio-emotional changes, which begins at the time of conception and it continues through lifespan. And the first 5 years of a child's life are fundamentally important. They are the foundation that shapes the children's future, their health, happiness, growth, development, and learning, achievement at school, in the family and community, and life in general. So the first 5 years are particularly more important for the development of a child's brain, And the first 3 years are more critical in shaping the child's brain architecture. So the experiences the children have during these years, during these first 5 years and 3 years, it has a direct impact on how children develop their learning skills, social and emotional abilities, and brain development and functioning throughout life. Children learn more quickly during the early years than at any other time in life. So we've all seen children grasping, observing, and learning everything very quickly during their early years. So they need the love and nurturing to develop a sense of trust and security. This trust and security will turn into confidence as they grow. So babies grow, learn, and develop rapidly when they receive that sort of love and affection and attention, encouragement, and mental stimulation. Apart from all this, they do require nutritious meals and good health care. So, when you have a proper understanding of child development, you as parents, it will help you a lot to know what to expect and how to best support the child as she or he grows and develops. So let us now take a look at the 6 distinct stages of child development. Childhood development is divided into these 6 stages, and understand what the child is going through in each stage. So knowing these attributes will help parents guide their children through all the developmental stages with ease. So the first one is newborn development, which is from birth to 1 month. And they exhibit a very limited amount of motion in this stage. The second stage is infant development. So this is the stage between 1 and 12 months since the birth of the child. And this is one of the most crucial child developmental stages. So they will display many new developmental abilities. The child or the baby starts moving about more. They can control their head movements. They start playing with their hands and legs. And after 6 months, babies even start responding when you call them by name. So they can sit without support, they can stand without support, and they also begin to babble. And after 9 months, they start crawling. They also show great dexterity with their thumbs and fingers. They can now pick up objects just by pinching them with their thumbs. So you can see there's when you compare infant development with newborn development, there's a lot more happening during 1 and 12 months. The next is toddler development, the next stage, that is children between 1 and 3 years are what we call toddlers. So the phase starts when children are able to walk by themselves, and their language skills develop rapidly and significantly in this stage, and they're able to communicate their wishes, whatever they want. Mommy, I want that. Daddy, I want that. They're able to communicate whatever they want. They also learn the ability to say no. It's some children start saying the word no right when they're 1 years old, because majority of the parents have a habit of telling no to their children. No, don't touch that. No, don't go there. So they catch that word no very quickly. The next stage is preschooler development, which is from 3 to 6 years. So this stage of development is it is the first time the child enters the formal world of learning, right? And during this time, teachers, the person of the role of a teacher, they start playing a very big role in the child's life. Teachers start playing a very big role in the child's life during the preschool development. And they might start going to kindergarten or nursery school during this stage. They develop fine motor skills. They show great interest in arts, craft, drawing, and such activities. And intellectually also they show great growth. They develop basic math skills and start reading at a basic level. The fifth stage is school age development, which is from 6 to 12 years. And from this stage on, till the child does not require constant supervision, right? They become a little bit more independent. They start asserting their independence both at home and at school. And in this stage, the emotional growth of the child is very important during the school age development. So parents and teachers need to instill a good moral code. So this is a time where you must teach all your moral values to the child. They must teach the child to make good choices and to protect them from the adverse elements of the environment. And it is also important to teach them to face the consequences of their actions. So there is a fine balance between that parents and teachers need to achieve. The last stage is adolescent development. This is from 13 to 18 years. Now, teenagers go through very drastic and significant mental, physical, and emotional changes. And this is also the time when they develop their identity and personality. They have a tendency to distance themselves from their parents and teachers at this stage. They prefer the company of their friends more, but parents still need to keep a close eye on their development and ensure that they do not fall into bad habits or bad company. And one of the most required quality a parent requires when they have an adolescent at home is patience, understanding, and respect. So if you show enough patience, understanding, and respect at this stage, it will help a lot in their development. So we have seen the 6 distinct stages in brief of the child development. And in all these stages, parents play a huge role in the growth and development. And once you know about these development phases in detail, uh, it will help you a lot. So I don't have time to cover all the developmental stages in this session. So for today, we'll be focusing mainly on preschooler development, that is 3 to 6 years. We're going to be focusing on their emotional, social emotional development, their physical development, their motor development, and etc. So this entire session for the next slides will be about preschooler development. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the stage where they enter the world of formal learning. And during this period, the primary feature involves the child regularly interacting with other children at school. So, and play is central to this stage. It provides children with the opportunity to explore their interpersonal skills, mainly through initiating activities. So they plan activities, they make up games, they imitate activities with others. And if given the opportunity, children develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their ability to lead others and make decisions. So children have that tendency to initiate and start activities. So if this tendency is squelched, either through criticism or control, children have a tendency to feel guilt, and the child will often overstep the mark in his forgetfulness. And the danger is that the parents will tend to punish the child and restrict his initiatives too much. If you have preschooler at home, it's also a time when they ask a lot of questions. They're very curious. They need to know what is happening, what is that, who is coming, who is going. They have a great thirst for knowledge. So if the parents treat the child's questions as trivial or as a nuisance or embarrassing or other aspects of their behavior as threatening, then the child may have that feeling of guilt for becoming a nuisance. They might think of themselves as a nuisance. So Erik Erikson mentioned in his Erik Erikson is a psychologist, and he mentions that during this stage, it is where children have this feeling of initiative versus guilt. So initiative means when caregivers nurture these tendencies, when the child is taking initiatives or asking questions, the parents have to be more supportive and encouraging, and will have a willingness to respond to their questions. And all of this will make children more better developed. They can grow into adults who are able to follow their ambitions. But at the same time, if they are made to feel guilty, or they are made to feel as a nuisance or annoyance to the parents, where parents get angry at every question the child asks, or every time the child takes an initiative to play some game, the parent doesn't respond in an encouraging way. If the parents are always criticizing them, they'll feel very guilty for pursuing their desires. And such type of controlling caregivers may teach children to follow another's lead rather than starting their own plans. So, too much guilt can make the child slow to interact with others, and it may inhibit their creativity. Some guilt is, of course, however, necessary. Otherwise, the child wouldn't know how to exercise self control or have a conscience. So, we need to have a healthy balance between initiative and guilt. And once you achieve success in this stage, it will help the child to understand the purpose of life, and it will help them follow their ambitions and goals. It will also build their confidence. So every time your preschooler is trying to initiate some activity or some game, or is trying to ask a lot of questions to understand and know, have a more encouraging and positive reply or response. So we look briefly into the physical growth. I wouldn't go much into detail into this, because I feel this is something everyone might know. Children between the ages of 2 and 6 years, they tend to grow about 3 inches in height, and they gain about 4 to 5 pounds in weight each year. Now, the growth rate is slower than that of infancy. So during the preschooler age, they don't grow as much as they have been growing since they were a baby. And because their growth rate is slower, because they're not growing as rapidly as they were growing when they were a baby, their appetite is reduced. And it's common among kids between the age of 2 to 6 years that their appetite fluctuates in accordance with their age, energy levels, etc. It's mainly because their growth rate is slower. So, motor skills development. So, early childhood is a time period when most children acquire the basic skills for locomotion, like running, jumping, skipping, throwing, catching, kicking. Children continue to improve their gross motor skills, like gross motor skills or include all these running, jumping, skipping, object control, etc. As the more opportunities they are given to run and play, the more better their motor skills develop. And fine motor skills also developed are also being refined when they're given activities such as pouring water into a container, or holding a pencil and drawing and coloring, buttoning their coats, using scissors. So all the activities, including your fingers, come under fine motor skills. So the more opportunities you give them to use their gross and fine motor skills, when you allow them to run and play, when you're allowing them to involve in activities like drawing, coloring, or even buttoning their own shirts and dresses, all this helps in their motor skill development. So the average 2-year-old they may be able to run with a slightly better coordination than they manage to run as a toddler. Now, social emotional learning, it begins in infancy, and adults are the most influential models for young children. So parents who understand their infants' emotional cues and when they respond immediately and sympathetically, they tend to have infants who are less fussy and easier to soothe. So the same happens with preschoolers. If caregivers validate the children's feelings, address their needs, and are responsive and supportive, then preschoolers are better able to communicate their needs and emotions and are more likely to demonstrate healthy social emotional development. And when you look at a preschooler, the relationship they have with others. So this is a time when they start playing more with friends and they start using words and sentences to express how they are feeling and what they're thinking. So sometimes they still might need an adult support. They might have difficulty sharing toys with friends. So they need an adult to help them understand why they need to share and build such good qualities in them. But they can improve on their own as time passes. They also improve in their ability to understand and appropriately respond to their friends' feelings. So, children with healthy social emotional development, they'll have a balance of all these components. Now, self awareness. Preschool age children improve their ability to control their bodies during different activities throughout the day. So, if they are going to a school or kindergarten or the teachers, if they ask them to sit in a circle, they know when it is how to sit in a circle, where they're supposed to sit in a circle, and they know how to take turns. First is my friend's turn and then is my turn. So they are self-aware about such things, and they can use their own names and names of others and self-evaluate and know when they made appropriate or inappropriate choices. So they can, if you have you as a parent, if you have a good relationship with your preschooler, every time when they make inappropriate choices, they will have the tendency to come and share it with you because they felt that they did something wrong. Now, preschoolers display a variety of emotions in different ways. For example, they may say, I am upset, and they may match facial expressions to happy, mad, sad, or they may laugh when excited. And at the same time, they also improve their ability to manage their emotions, to match the situation and environment, and to control their emotions. So, although preschoolers are better than toddlers at regulating emotions, they still need a great deal of help and practice with developing these appropriate behaviors. Independence. So, actually, when once the child is a preschooler, it's a time when they don't need their mother so much as they were when they were a toddler or when they were a baby. So that bonding they had with their mother and father, it's going to get a little bit reduced, and sometimes it can be painful, but at the same time it can be beautiful to watch them grow. So preschoolers with healthy independence will follow predictable daily routines and activities at school and at home. So if you feel that there is some activity or some task at home that your preschooler can do by themselves, it you must allow them to do it by themselves. It's not it's not good to do everything for them. If they are able to dress up themselves and go to the toilet themselves, then you should allow them to do it by themselves. So they feel a greater independence, and that feeling of independence again helps in their confidence. So independent preschoolers will also tell caregivers about their day, and they learn and use new vocabulary as well. So you need to give a healthy, allow your child to grow in the best way, then you need to provide them with this sort of an independence, a healthy independence. So next is emotional literacy. Now, the term emotional literacy just means the child's ability to label and talk about their own emotions or feelings. So this is something a lot of Asian communities lack in. They don't talk about their feelings a lot, which makes them fall into a lot of problems, especially when they're in their teenage phase. So this emotional literacy, it is an essential component of social emotional development because it helps children understand their own emotional experiences. And at the same time, it helps them to acknowledge and understand the emotional experiences of others. Emotional literacy also helps children solve problems, regulate their own emotions. And these skills are essential for success in preschool and beyond. So children who label, talk about, and are aware of their emotions, they're likely to focus on and engage in classroom routines and activities, and less likely to become easily frustrated or have excessive tantrums or act impulsively. Now, many children learn to identify and discuss emotions through interactions or conversations with responsive adults. So, if you are a responsive adult, or you as a parent, every time your uh, preschooler feels upset or sad or even happy, you need to validate their feelings. You need to talk about what they're feeling. You need to express your feelings as well. And when you have such conversations, it will give them a greater awareness about their emotional experiences. Apart from this, you can also read books to them and about emotions and discuss emotions or social interactions. So between the ages of 3 and 6, when we look at their cognitive development, they are able to think symbolically. For example, they can take a broomstick and imagine it as a horse. That is the ability to think symbolically, an example of thinking symbolically. And it is also a time when their imagination is filled with fantasies. So there's a lot of evidence that says that children who are encouraged to participate in fantasy, make believe, and imaginative activities later show increased capacity to regulate their emotions, have better empathetic skills, and have more sophisticated cognitive skills. So if the fantasy is presented as an entertainment like cartoons, it isn't very likely to inspire confusion. Not at That would lead the kids to think that humans can fly or walk through walls or turn themselves invisible, because preschoolers have the ability to distinguish between what is fantasy and what is real. Unless your preschooler is suffering from high levels of fearfulness or have some chronic anxiety issues, then or even have any nightmares during sleeping. So if your child falls into this category, then it might be difficult for your child to differentiate between what is fantasy and what is real. So even if your child is suffering from anxiety or fearfulness and having nightmares at night, so this doesn't mean you should avoid all forms of fantasy, because there are plenty of happy, non-threatening fantasy stories for kids to enjoy. And this helps children to improve their ability to distinguish fantasy from real. So fantasy play might help preschoolers develop executive functions, the mental ability that allow them to concentrate, make plans, keep their emotional impulses under control. So a lot of parents have this issue like our fantasy is good, but fantasies are required to build their creativity and imagination. And the kind of fantasy you can choose between what you want to show and what you don't want to show. Okay, so this is just all this is part of their cognitive development in age 3, age 4, and age 5. So you can just take a look at this. At age 3, if they were just able to turn book pages one at a time, but by age 4, they can draw a person with 2 to 4 body parts. And by age 5, they can understand concepts like money and food. So all this is part of their cognitive development. Okay. We'll come to nutritional concerns. So as I mentioned earlier, since their growth speed is a bit reduced during this time, their appetite is also reduced. So the parents may notice a general resistance to try new food or preferences for certain food, often served or eaten in a particular way. Like they might need only the egg white, or they might need milk in mama's bottle, mama's cup only. So they have a tendency to be more picky and eat in particular ways. So caregivers or parents need to keep in mind that at this age they are preferences, and young children who grow accustomed to high fat, very fatty or very sweet and salty flavors, they might have trouble eating foods that have subtler flavors such as fruits and vegetables. So their appetite is just building at this stage. So if you feed them with a lot of chocolates and junk food, which tend to have a lot of which high flavors, or they're more flavored. So if you give them a lot of junk food and unhealthy food, or mainly processed food from outside, that you get to buy outside, then they might not be able to eat fruits and vegetables because they don't have much. They're not very flavorful. And you need to recognize that appetite varies. Children may eat well at one meal and might not have any appetite at all at the other meal. So you don't need to see this as a problem because appetites vary. All you need to do is continue to provide good nutrition, and don't worry excessively if the child does not eat a particular meal. Now, I'll give you some tips for establishing healthy eating patterns. So once you recognize that appetite varies, try to keep it pleasant. Okay, the atmosphere where you're eating, if you're eating together as a family, uh, don't make that dining table a place for arguments or expressing tensions or shouting at each other. You don't want your child to have painful memories of meal times together, or nervous stomachs and problems eating and digesting food due to stress. So try to keep the atmosphere very calm and a happy one. So they have good memories of eating together and enjoying that mealtime. So the atmosphere actually plays a great role in giving a better appetite to your child. No shorter or chefs. So if you have more than one child, you have 2 to 3 children. So if each child is ordering for a particular type of food, one wants bread, the other one wants rice, the other one wants chicken. So Don't do that. Don't make whatever they're asking for, because that's not healthy. So whenever whatever meal is prepared at home, you should try to make the child eat that. So making separate meals for each child, that is like building an unrealistic expectation from others. You as a mother, you have your own chores, and it's an unrealistic expectation from you to cook for each child. Limiting snacks rather than allowing children to graze can help create an appetite for what is being served. So before mealtime, um, don't give them any snacks so that they can be hungry and eat whatever food is prepared for them. Limit choices. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is a time when they are becoming more independent, they are taking more initiatives. So, it's good to give them choices like, do you want apple or do you want oranges? But whenever you're giving choices, limit your choices. Don't give like 5 to 6 choices and then ask, what do you want? Because that is not, then the child gets really confused and they have trouble decision making. But you need to give choices and limit it to 2 or 3. Just give them, would you like an apple or banana? Would you like an apple or orange? So when you give such choices to them, they'll have a better decision making skills as well. And serve balanced meals. So never bribe a child. Apart from serving balanced meals, it's always good to give meals that are prepared from home. Apart from all this, something I missed to write on the slide is never bribe a child. Like, don't bribe a child to eat vegetables by promising dessert. This is not a good idea, because the child will likely find a way to get the dessert without eating the vegetables by crying, whining, throwing tantrums, etc. And apart from that, bribery teaches the child that some food are better than the others. So if you tell your child that if you eat this vegetable, I'll give you a candy, then they tend to think that the candy is actually better than the vegetable. So children tend to naturally enjoy a variety of food until that they are taught that some are considered less desirable than others. So never bribe your child, and most important is not to force your child to eat or fight over eating food. If they don't eat a particular food, just don't force them. Maybe after a certain age they'll start eating that. Okay. Toilet training typically occurs between the first 2 years of early childhood. Now, some children show interest by when they are 2 years old, but others may not be ready until they are months later. And most children master daytime bladder control first, typically within 1 to 3 months of consistent toilet training. However, nighttime training might take months or even years. So, so the child's age is not as important as his or her physical and emotional readiness. You need to assess whether they are ready or not. So if started too early, it might take longer to train a child. But if a child resists being trained or is not successful after a few weeks, it's just good to take a break and then play again later. Okay. Now we look at the importance of play. Now, we all know that play is important for the child, but we rarely associate playing with learning, right? We don't think that when they're playing with their toys that they're actually learning and developing. But studies and a lot of research says that children learn best through playing. So you need to provide a rich environment with play, sensory play, play materials. It gives the good life experiences to build a foundation for the brain. And the brain area associated with higher cognitive processing can benefit from and this sort of a rich environment. Now there's two kinds of play, free play and structured play. So free play is a play, an unstructured play that encourages children to explore and design their own games. Pretend play requires the child to imagine scenarios and then act them out. So the freedom of these different types of play allows children to be more creative. So as you can see here, it helps in their brain development, it helps in their memory development, it allows them to be more creative, they have better vocabulary and communication, also language skills. They also have greater social competence, more empathy, and they're more happier, greater impulse control and emotional regulation. And they'll also have better health. Physical activities benefit physical health, motor strength, and endurance. They'll have a better relationship. So playing is actually an excellent way to bond with your child. And they love playing with us as parents. Children love playing with their parents. So try to find time to play with your parents. And these memories that you help them create, it will remain in their memories for long as beautiful happy times with their parents. And sometimes children also use playing as a tool to rehearse skills and future social rules in a safe context. Like if the mother gets angry at the child, they might express that anger and finish it off towards their doll or pet, uh, uh, doll or any puppy or teddy that they have. They might look at the teddy and again replay the same words the mother shouted at them. So this is another way of regulating their emotions as well. Okay. Now, instant or delayed gratification. So when our Wi-Fi becomes slow, we start getting very irritated. Or when a person driving in the front seat is driving so slowly and they're not letting us overtake, then we start getting angry at them. And if we go to amusement parks or hospitals, we hate waiting in long queues. We're even ready to pay extra money to avoid waiting. So our culture is starting to become a type where all of us find it really hard to wait. Even though we grew up in a time where not we, maybe our older generation, they grew up in a time where they had to wait for a letter to know about somebody or wait for days to receive a phone call from them. So just imagine what it's like for our children who have been exposed to our instant access culture from day one. Now the child is asking you where granny is. You can just video call them and show them. Or if they say that they want pizza for dinner, you can just take your phone, order pizza, and there it is right in front of you. And if they're feeling bored, just give them the phone, play a movie, watch a cartoon again. They can even play a game online. So that's the kind of life that we are living now. We are living in a culture where everything is easily accessible and we are instantly gratified. So now we are going to watch an experiment called the marshmallow test. So in the experiment, the researchers ask children to wait in a room with a marshmallow. They're told that they can either eat the marshmallow right away or wait until the researcher comes back, when they'll be able to eat that marshmallow plus another one. So let's watch together through this video how the children reacted.
marshmallow for you. You can either wait, I'll give you another one if you wait, or eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one. Then you'll have to stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right. I'm gonna go do something and I'll come back. So it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay? Okay. How'd you do? Did you do good? You did? You wanted to eat it, didn't you? Yeah. Did I tell you to give you another one? Okay, now you can have both. You need them.
Okay, so through the video, you must have seen how some students struggle to stare at that marshmallow and wait, and some were trying to distract themselves. Some couldn't wait, they just ended up eating. Now, these researchers, they went on to study the participants in years to come, measuring their levels of success and happiness in later life. And they related it back to how they handle the marshmallow situation. So, in a nutshell, instant gratification potentially leads to a lack of self control, a lack of perseverance, and ultimately lower levels of success in adult life. So, this may or may not be true, but as a teacher, what I know is that the waiters are more respectful of their teachers and peers. They're gracious and less anxious in a group situation because they're not focused on having their needs met instantly. They understand working consistently towards a goal because they don't expect instant results. They show perseverance and tenacity and put less pressure on themselves to do things perfectly for the first time. So, how can we nurture our children to be the waiters? So, these are some techniques given by the researchers for us. The first one is teach distraction. Now, we parents are great masters at distracting their children. Like when they really want to play on the iPad, you can distract them easily. But the trick actually is to teach your children to distract themselves. Okay, it's not you asking them to make it distracting them, but they need to distract themselves. If they really, really want to play on the iPad, but they know that they have to wait another hour, so they need to be able to distract themselves by playing with a ball or reading a book. The next one is be intentional about it. You should be intentional about teaching instant delayed gratification. So you can make a cake, let it stand on the counter all day, wait until tea time. So don't allow your child to eat that cake until it is tea time. Or make them wait for half an hour before they ask for your phone. Or encourage them to save up for something that you would usually just buy for them. Like you can tell them, I'll buy this for you only by next Friday. So just you have to be intentional about it. The next one is just deal with the tantrum and sulking. So what is with this idea that we have to quickly put an end to every bit of unhappiness or sulkiness? It may have something to do with our own instant gratification issues. So we just want the uncomfortable feelings to go away. We cannot hear them crying. Our generation of parents really needs to learn to be okay with our children's unhappiness, because believe it or not, it's not our job to make them happy. Our job is to teach them how to be decent human beings who can cope with their own uncomfortable feelings. So letting your children experience that bit of unhappiness in the safety of their own family, that is one of the best things you can do for them. And they come out on the other side realizing that the world didn't end because they didn't get what they wanted. They will learn that they can survive feeling frustrated and unhappy, and everything is still okay because those feelings will eventually pass. Model good waiting behavior. As always, children learn much more from what we do than from what we say. So work at becoming good waiters yourself, even though it's not easy. By modeling good waiting behavior, that's the best way you can teach your child. Okay, I am running out of time, so I might hurry a bit. Now, managing screen time. So when we talk about screen time, there's good screen time and there's bad screen time. So what children are actually doing on their screen time, that is what actually matters more. So preschoolers or children, basically, they need an environment where they're able to interact actively. So if you are allowing your child to watch a cartoon or movie or video, the best thing you can do is sit with them and watch the cartoon or video with them, explain what is going on, ask them if what the character is doing is right or not, actively interact with the child. And a lot of research shows that preschoolers need to be given only 1 hour of screen time per day. But we live in today's world. We have a lot of video calling going on. Now, talking with our family and mainly grandparents or cousins or siblings, that cannot be included in bad screen time. That is okay. Apart from the 1 hour screen time, video calling with family can be done. There's nothing wrong with it, because the child is interacting with another person and they're building a bond. They're also learning a lot of social, emotional stuff through those video calls. Now, what I really consider a huge negative side of screen time is how it affects our self-regulatory skills. Now, building self-regulation skills takes practice, and screens can interfere with that skill. So, for example, if parents and children get into the habit of putting a YouTube video anytime the child gets upset, the child is not learning to use their brain or body to help them calm down on their own. Furthermore, with young children, they're not learning to use their social skills with those around them to calm themselves. Similarly, children who come to rely on screens to help them sit at a dinner table or stay in a waiting room, they're not getting the opportunity to practice these self-regulatory skills. So, self-regulation is often referred to as the foundation of learning. And parents can lead by example with their families by reducing screen time, having more face-to-face interactions, by helping our children develop these self-regulatory skills. They will be better equipped to handle whatever situation they may face. They can, when you provide them, if they can't wait in a hospital room for some time, they don't know how to control their patience and emotions, then these small things can lead to bigger issues when they're especially a teenager, when they're not able to manage their emotions and impulses. And this is also one of the main reasons why many teenagers end up in suicide, because they don't have proper regulatory skills and poor gratification skills as well. Okay, now, so I've been sharing a lot of knowledge until now, but you should know that knowledge alone is never enough to make us do good things or make children do good things, because if knowledge itself was enough, then shaitan would never be a problem, right? Because we have all the knowledge we want, and he probably knows much better than any one of us. So what is it that we need to develop in our children that for them to be able to do good? It is the willingness to choose the good or right thing. And that happens only through proper love and tarbiyah at home. Actually living the deen, living your religion in the best possible way. So the home is the first school of the child, the first place to learn from what is right and wrong. So before the child goes to school, you have to nurture the child correctly. So apart from all this, most important is our relationship with Allah, because we cannot do this without His help. And don't let your busyness or your busy schedule take over your connection with Allah. I'm not asking you to make some extra ibadah or extra effort, because looking after your child itself is a form of ibadah. So every day when you're doing it, renew your intentions and focus on your worship. So even a prophet, when he was given commanded to go preach, Allah also commanded him to increase his worship. So when we take up higher goals, we need Allah more. So we need to make our relationship with our Creator stronger. And we all have different purposes, and we somehow complement each other. So we need to help our children identify their purpose and allow them to fulfill their purpose. So when you look at the Prophet's time, there were many who went and asked him, how do I get to Jannah? And he always gave a different answer based on the questioner. So because he was assessing their challenges, their strengths and their weaknesses. So we have to know where our children are developmentally and then cater to those needs. So this was the way the Prophet taught his companions. He was very gentle. He was a living Quran, and he was soft and nice on them. And when we have children, we have to choose a more gentle approach. So as it is said in Surah Al Imran, it is out of Allah's mercy that you, O Prophet, have been lenient with them. Had you been cruel or hard-hearted, they would have certainly abandoned you. So pardon them and ask Allah's forgiveness for them, and consult with them in conducting matters. Once you make a decision, put your trust in Allah. Surely Allah loves those who trust in. Okay, so my time is almost over. So I would like to end my session by praying that Allah allows us to be the kind of parent that will allow our children to grow beautifully to their best selves. And may He provide mercy and ease throughout our journey of parenting. So thank you to all of you for attending this session. I hope you gained something from this. Now the session is open for questions and answers or even feedbacks. Please feel free to ask. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khairan kathira, Sister Mariam, for a very insightful session. I hope and I pray that it has benefited everyone tremendously, inshallah. Now that the platform is open for any questions, I just wanted to pose a couple of questions to you, Sister Wafa. The first question from the audience is how to encourage children to pretend playing, especially in this age of digital distraction.
Okay, so pretend playing in the age of digital distraction. So you need to have keep your digital gadgets or keep a time where they can watch their cartoons or watch their videos or whatever. Keep a limit to it. I know we are very distracted, and children too have a tendency to ask for it a lot. But you need to make it clear to them that there is a time for watching videos and there is a time for playing. So, apart from keeping a limit on your digital screen timing, you need to also provide an environment. If the children cannot meet their friends, you can play with them, or you need to provide them with toys or materials. uh, Children are actually very creative if you give them simple things, even things that are normally found in every households. They can imagine a comb to be a spoon. They can imagine a table to be a bed. So they can use their creative imagination, and you won't believe the kind of um, way they become creative. So, oh, even if the children are showing a lot of tantrums and crying, let them cry for some time. They'll eventually get over it. You need to allow them, just ignore them when they're crying. Automatically, they will come out from it and they will automatically play with themselves. So they have that natural tendency to do so. You just need to give them the space and allow them to do that.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Wafa. Another question: how to teach children to label and recognize their emotions?
Okay. Children learn emotions best when we talk to them about it. So if you find them feeling sad, you can go to them and ask them, are you feeling sad? What made you feel sad? And just talk to them about that feeling. Or you can share your own feelings. Mama is feeling very happy, she got what she wanted. And they learn best when you talk to them. Emotions are mainly learned when you talk to them. Apart from talking to them, like I said, there are a lot of books about emotions, storybooks made for children. So you can read those storybooks to them where they beautifully explain emotions like happiness, sadness, angry, confused, mad. So when they learn their emotions, when they know what is happy, when they know what is sad, then they'll start talking themselves. They'll start sharing with you that I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling angry, etc.
Absolutely. It's so important to teach children emotional vocabulary, to teach them what sadness is, what anger is, what happiness is. Jazakallah khair, Sister Wafa. Finally, how many hours of screen time is good for children?
So for preschoolers, 1 hour is if you can limit your screen time to 1 hour, and this 1 hour does not include any video calling with family members, because like I said, video calling with family members doesn't need to be considered as a screen time in our current stage. Video calling is the only way where they get to socially interact with their family members. So apart from that, 1 hour is the most ideal screen time limit for children. 1 hour per day. Thank you.
Okay, that's true that because we're caught up in the middle of the pandemic, stuck away from our loved ones, it's important to connect with them through social media. So, yes, that makes sense. Jazakallah khairan kathira, Sister Wafa, for your time and for the wonderful session today. I hope and pray that it has benefited all our parents who have been present immensely, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan once again, and Jazakumullah khairan kathira to all those who joined. With that, we're signing off. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.